He climbed the mountain not to conquer the mountain, but to conquer himself. Dawa had heard the call of the mountains all his life. He grew up in a small village nestled at the foot of a giant that scraped the sky. Every morning he would wake up with the sun and watch the mountain cast its long shadow over the valley. Every evening he would sit by the fire and listen to the wind whispering stories of the peaks. But it was until one day when a stranger came to the village that Dawa truly understood what the mountain was calling him to do. The stranger was tall and lean, with skin the color of sun-baked clay and eyes that twinkled like the stars on a clear night. He carried a staff as thick as Dawa's torso and wore a cloak that flowed behind him like a river of darkness. The villagers, upon seeing him, broke into excited chatter. "A mountain man," they exclaimed, pointing at him. He must have come from beyond the peaks. Dawa, who was 17 years old at the time, felt a surge of curiosity mixed with apprehension. What did the mountain man want? And what did he know about the mountain that they didn't? As the days passed, Dawa couldn't help but sneak glances at the mountain man. He watched how the man effortlessly shouldered a load of firewood, how he mended his cloak with stitches as swift as a bird's flight, how he told stories that made children's eyes wide with wonder. On the third day, Dawa mustered all his courage and approached the man. "Excuse me," he said, his voice barely a whisper. The mountain man turned around and looked at him. His eyes, Dawa noticed, were filled with the vastness of the sky and the depth of the earth. "Yes, young one?" the man asked, his voice deep and resonant like the sound of a gong, and Dawa poured out his heart. He told the man about his lifelong fascination with the mountain, about how he dreamed of climbing to its peak. The mountain man listened patiently, his gaze fixed on the distant horizon. When Dawa finished, he remained silent for a moment, contemplating the boy's earnest face. "You wish to climb the mountain," he finally said, breaking the silence. Dawa nodded eagerly. "I have been preparing for this my whole life," he said. "But why do you want to climb the mountain?" The man's question caught Dawa off guard. He wasn't sure if he wanted to conquer the mountain, or because he wanted to prove himself. "Because it is there," he said, gesturing towards the peak, "and I want to see what is beyond the clouds." The mountain man smiled, a slow, knowing smile that crinkled the corners of his eyes. "That is not why you want to climb the mountain," he said gently. "You want to climb the mountain to conquer yourself." Dawa frowned, confused. The man walked towards the mountain, beckoning for Dawa to follow him. "Come," he said, "I will show you." The journey to the mountain was arduous. They trekked through dense forests, crossed gushing rivers, and scrambled over rocky terrain. Throughout the journey, the mountain man kept a sharp lookout for signs of danger, guiding them around treacherous paths and through hidden caves. By the time they reached the base of the mountain, Da's legs ached and his shoulders were sore. But when he looked up at the sheer rock face that towered above him, he knew that this was only the beginning. They began their ascent early in the morning. The air grew thin and cold as they climbed higher and higher. The wind howled around them, testing their resolve. The mountain man didn't seem bothered by the tough conditions. He moved with the agility of a mountain goat, his body seemingly weightless against the rough terrain. Dawa struggled to keep up. The thin air made it hard to breathe. His limbs felt heavy and his vision blurred at times, but he didn't want to give up. Not just because he wanted to reach the top, but also because he didn't want to disappoint the mountain man who had become his mentor and guide. On the third day of their climb, as they rounded a rocky outcrop, they were met with a breathtaking sight. A vast expanse of snow-covered land stretched out below them, dotted with jagged peaks that pierced the clouds. It was a landscape of such pristine beauty that Dawa felt his breath catch in his throat. The mountain man, totally unbothered by the stunning views, waved for Dawa to keep up as they climbed higher. That evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Dawa and the mountain man made camp on a narrow ledge overlooking a dizzying drop. The wind was fierce, whipping around them, trying to dislodge them from their precarious perch. "Why are we here?" Dawa shouted over the wind. The mountain man, his face weathered and grim, gestured to the sky. Dawa looked up and saw that the sky was filled with dark clouds. A storm was brewing. "We need to go higher," the man shouted back, his voice strained against the wind. "If we don't, the storm will trap us here and we may not survive." Dawa hesitated. He could feel the fear gnawing at his insides. Going higher meant facing the worst of the storm, the freezing winds and the blinding snow. But he knew that the mountain man was right. They had no choice but to press on. They battled through the storm, their bodies battered and bruised by the unforgiving elements. The wind screamed around them, trying to tear them from the mountainside. The snow swirled, obscuring their vision, making every step a gamble, but they didn't stop. Driven by an instinct to survive, Dawa put one foot in front of the other, his eyes fixed on the path ahead. When they finally emerged from the storm, they found themselves in a world transformed. The wind had died down, leaving an eerie silence in its wake. The snow-laden branches of the trees creaked ominously in the stillness. The sky was a deep, unending blue, stretching out like a vast, uncharted sea, and then Dawa saw it. Before him, high above the clouds, lay the peak of the mountain. It was a sight so uninspiring, so serenely beautiful, that Dawa felt tears prickling at his eyes. As they stood there taking in the panorama around them, Dawa realized that the mountain had changed him. The journey had stripped him bare, laying his fears, his doubts, and his strengths out in the open. He had faced the harshest conditions, battled the fiercest storms, and pushed through the greatest challenges. And he had done it not for glory, not for fame, but simply because he had set his eyes on the peak and refused to be deterred. The mountain man, sensing the transformation in the young man, placed a hand on Dawa's shoulder. "You climbed the mountain not to conquer the mountain," he said, his voice echoing in the vast stillness, "but to conquer yourself." In that moment, Dawa understood. The mountain had tested him, challenged him, and broken him down, only to build him back up stronger, more resilient, and more determined than before. He had conquered not the mountain, but his own limitations, his own fears, and in doing so, he had become one with the mountain, forever changed by its immensity and its grace. As the sun rose, bathing the snow-covered peaks in a golden light, Dawa and the mountain man started their descent. The mountain was behind them now, its secret safe within its icy heart. But the lessons it had taught Dawa would stay with him forever, guiding him through the challenges of life, reminding him of the strength that lay dormant within him, waiting to be awakened. The mountain was more than just a place. It was a state of mind, a testament to the indomitable spirit that resided in every human being. And Dawa, forever marked by his experience, carried that knowledge like a precious jewel in his heart.